All right, it's good to be back for another episode of the Critics Collective. I'm Legacy Lingo, and I have the Dad Panther here with me. And today we're here to discuss and review The Fire Inside, which was just recently released last week, starring Ryan Destiny and Brian Tyree Henry. All right, it's available in theaters as of right now, and today we are going to discuss that with you. But before I do so, if this is your first time joining us, we're going to give you a quick spoiler-free review of the best of our ability. And we also ask if you're enjoying this content to please hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button, and join our collective community. All right. Now, again, The Fire Inside, which is available in theaters. The IMDb synopsis reads, the story of Claressa T-Rex Shields, a boxer from Flint, Michigan, who trained to become the first woman in her country's history to win an Olympic gold medal in the sport. And that is 100% accurate. This story is actually based on a true story. It is a true story, and we're going to discuss it to the best of our ability without spoiling it, but that information is out there. So some of the stuff, if you don't know the story, some of the stuff may seem like a spoiler, but again, it's already out there. So there's only so much non-spoilery we can do. All right. So Dad Panther, sir, tell me your initial impression when you came across this movie, The Fire Inside.
For me, didn't see the trailer or anything like that. I looked at it as respectfully $1 Million Baby out of Detroit, out of Michigan, Flint, Michigan to be specific. But I didn't know anything about this movie. I just expected something that was probably going to flow closer to Creed or Southpaw.
Okay, I got you. For me, I did actually accidentally watch the trailer. You know, I try not to watch trailers as well. But sometimes when I show up to a theater, my timing is off, and I'll still catch 2 trailers before I go in. And normally, if it's not a movie that I'm highly anticipating, I'll just watch it. I'll just watch it. And so as I watched it, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, okay, Brian Tyree Henry is one of the actors that I've come to really love and appreciate his work. So seeing his face made me immediately be like, what made him commit to this project? So that piqued my interest, because I feel like actors that are growing like he is in this industry and getting respected are going to start being a little bit more choosy about what they do. So when I saw that he had taken on this project, it piqued my interest, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to give this a shot to see what made him commit to this project. Mm-hmm. And that was it for me. Why don't you go ahead and take it away? Let me know how you felt about this movie, sir. Highs and lows.
All right, so the lows would probably come in, somewhat like a body hook. It's gonna sting, but there was no advertising for this movie, and I know it doesn't have anything to do with the movie itself. This movie has a $12 million budget. Worldwide, they've only done about $6 million in the U.S. 1.2. Which, Lingo said before, that's where, you really find out how successful this is. And so I'm sure it'll pick up on streaming. But this is a movie that should have been talked about. Claressa and what she means to the hip hop community. Like, she's still doing stuff. She's doing reality shows. She's had 2 or 3 fights in MMA. So the fact that, even the conversation of her going against Ali, I just felt like, why weren't we talking about this movie? And I felt like if you would have, more people would have watched it. Act 3, the music of Act 3 didn't flow with the rest of it. It wasn't all hip hop. It wasn't all urban. But towards the end, just the tone of the music, even the scores changed. It went from feeling like Rocky. It went from feeling like Southpaw and Creed to just feel like it was something a completely different genre. It was PG-13 at times. What I mean by that, if you know Claressa, or you've seen her, again, reality show and all this other stuff, she drops words like a sailor. Like, she is unfiltered, rated R. That's who she is as a person, to the point that if you have anything to say about her, get in the ring, experience or not, and she will lay you, on your, and still talk at the gym. So that's her as a person. I felt they captured that moment, but then other times I felt like they kind of got away from it. Missing parts. There was things that they fast forward in some of these time gaps. And one of them, without spoiling anything, is there's a baby diaper scene. And I'll mention this double-sided coin, but there's a baby thing that happens. And I'm like, are we going to talk about this? Maybe just me as a parent or a person with a heart. It wasn't enough fucking effort on this. It didn't make sense. the family, and that's good and bad. But the family, it's like they wanted to paint them as villains, but then also good, without saying what I think they were trying to do, which was forgiveness. And just that's just what it is. Family, you don't get to pick them, because she still has issues with those same family members, even worse down the road. So you have that, and then towards the end, unlike the 666 or 6888 that we did the review, go ahead check that Tyler Perry review out. But for that, it was like the ending, they didn't stick that for this movie. And this one, I thought they did a great job, but she's still doing more stuff. So I kind of wanted more in there. Now, the good stuff, quick and like a jab, it's the first 2 acts of this movie were set on. I love the pace of this movie, though at times it did feel longer than it need to be, but I started connecting with the characters. I thought the cast did a great job. I thought Tyler did a great job in this, because the fact of I couldn't see anybody else playing this. I really legit thought he was the coach. Like, who else is the real coach? I love how they did the conversation about a love interest, but not make that the focal point, to focus on what the goal is. Because there was even a time where we kind of laughed in the theater, or we cried. I mean, I got misty eyed. There was 2 or 3 parts. The diaper scene, it's a coin thing, but I just thought they hit on all strings to tell me a story that I knew of the fighter, the athlete, but I didn't know her story. And so to see a box of Wheaties and then get triggered thinking, I know how this feels. They did a great job as a director. And again, Rachel's the director. If you've seen my reviews before, you know how I feel about when the ladies take the helm. Right. And I thought it was really good of what the emotion and the rawness that they got from this movie.
Okay, all right, look at you, man. You actually touched on a lot of great points, a lot of things that I'm gonna try not to reiterate, so we don't get too, just being said too much. But I'm gonna start with my highs and then go into my lows. For me, the highs with this film was that, number one, and I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. We talk about how stories like this need to be told, and my biggest high was that Tyler Perry did not try to tell this story. All right, has nothing to do with the film itself. I mean, I know people are like, where's that coming from? But this is a story that needed to be told at a certain quality, a certain level, and the representation and the way the story was told was phenomenal. True story or not, it gave you aspects that were so realistic on how people can be, how selfish people can be, how we can't choose our family. There were things that were pissing me off, but I couldn't be upset with it, because that's real life. That's how people are. And then there were moments where people were still around that should have been cut off, but I can't be mad because we can't choose our family. And some people, that's their blind spot. So for me, I thought all of that was done very well. The story definitely needed to be told. I didn't know going in that this was based on true events, even though I think the trailer might have said that, and I may not have been paying attention. I had no idea. I really thought, like the two boxing films you mentioned, I thought they were just trying to give us an urban version of $1 Million Baby, and I was like, okay, I'm here for it. As long as the quality is there and the story's there. And then I'm realizing they're talking about factual events, Olympics and time periods. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is real. So it was very rewarding to see a true story be told with both the dark and the bright side of it, and the way that they told it. I loved it. The actors that they chose are phenomenal. Tyree Henry, phenomenal actor. Again, this is going to be something that I'm going to continue to add to the things when I tell people why they should, watch his work and give him a shot. The outcome at the end, I'm not going to spoil, but some of the things that were revealed in this story were great, because at first, when we got the first hour, and they were still leading up to what the trailer told me was the biggest conflict, I was worried. I was like, man, I understand that these things need to be told. These things need to be outlined so you can truly understand where we're going. But then I was worried, how long after we get to that conflict, how much more movie are we going to get, And they actually did a good job of basically leading up to that moment. Then when we got to that major conflict, the story did not beat it over the head. It's like we started, okay, now we're dealing with it. And then the pacing, in my opinion, on that third act was perfect. I thought the movie was just the right amount of length. I was worried that we were going to get so much more after we finally got to the real issue of the story. And I think they tied it off perfect. I think everything, the way they chose to tell the story, I thought it was great. But now I'm gonna get into my lows. my lows here is that one, true stories, you can't really critique them. You can't really critique them. There's so many things I would have rather seen that person do. So many things I would have rather seen said. So many people I would have rather seen cut off, and you can't really critique them. So I don't really have any lows. I understand what you were saying about the tone shift with the movie, but I accepted that because it was a true story. It's like, they want to kind of keep you engaged with that whole element before, but now it's like, okay, let's get to the reason we're telling this story. And so I shifted with it and I was okay with it. The only real low that I have was that and I may be stepping on some toes, but there was not a big enough moment for me where the coach, what was the character's name? I mean, not
Jason.
Jason
Crutchfield.
Jason Crutchfield. There was not after we ended up getting that information about where she went with her career and what she changed in the game. And again, I'm trying not to spoil, but the things the changes she made and the push that she did for women in sports and in that industry and the success that she's had. The only thing we got was an update on that he was still out there doing his thing. And I would have liked to have seen a come up for him as well. I don't know if he's a good person or not, or what, if they maybe don't attention. I don't know the history, but after watching that story, they painted him. Brian T. Henry played that role so well, and they painted him to be such a great man to give what he gave, sacrifice what he gave, push, and then to see her success going forward from that. And even though he wasn't a part of all of that later success, I still would have liked there have been a moment where he was acknowledged, or that we see that he benefited from that as well, because I didn't get that. So that kind of left me a little heartbroken, a little burned. I need to do my research. We did just get out of the theater, so I could look it up and realize that she's probably hooked him up.
No, listen, you're not wrong, because I was like, is he still up on the pole talking to himself? Like, people thought he was talking to himself, like, hey, AT&T, I don't know if you want to get out of here. So I looked it up, and he's last 2 days he's been doing press runs for this movie. He's picked up awards for other stuff. He's still, like it says, volunteering. So things did happen, I'm assuming, for him. I hope he's getting paid in real life.
I hope so.
For what this man has accomplished. But yeah, in this movie, it seems like he's
all right. So
I don't want to say
right, because we don't want to spoil, but I'm glad I'm not alone. I feel like we got a little slighted on there as far as the pointing out things that people have achieved and recognition, but it's cool. But that's honestly all I got. I can't say anything bad about things that are based on a true story unless Tyler Perry directed it. All right, so
but hold on, wait, but even with shots at Tyler, and we talked about this in that review, how we would love to see more stories told like this. It wasn't like trauma. This, like, one of the biggest things I loved about this, and it's gonna sound weird, and I can see Lingo chopping this up and chopping it in a way what makes me look bad, like I'm saying it. She didn't do crack. When you watch 5 Heartbeats, you watch New Edition, you watch The Jacksons, you watch all these movies about great people of color, and then they do crack. And there's just a part of the movie where everybody's doing crack, apparently.
Right.
Rick James doing crack. It just happens. There was no crack in this movie.
Right.
And I appreciate that.
I appreciate everything about it, because even though this person came from the urban upbringings, and it was rough, none of that stuff stopped her or distracted her or swayed her, no matter how hard it got. And those are definitely the stories that we want to tell. It's like, hey, you may be a product of your environment, but that doesn't have to define you. That doesn't have to define you. You can definitely stay focused and get yourself to another level. You may not have all the resources. I know it may take harder work. You may not have the opportunities that other people have, but it doesn't mean you can't do it or you need to fall into those traps. So yeah.
Did you catch the detail that they did in the background of these sets? Like, it could just, like, there was one thing where it was like past due bills, and it fit with the scene. It wasn't forced. It was subtle to the side, or that, like, maybe just my upbringing. You could have food and not have food. And there's some scenes where you're like, look at all this. Oh, shit. And I was like, man, the level of detail, it was like somebody went through it and let us get that. And I was like, okay.
Absolutely. So I'm actually hoping everybody gives this movie a shot. The budget was $12 million. It made $7 million already. 7.2. Let's keep that going. Watch this movie, come back, watch the review, let us know. Let us go ahead and give our rating so we can let you know how much we wanted to watch. All right. So the Critics Collective rating goes from 0 to 5. We give our accolades here. 5 being excellent. 5 accolades is a must-watch, highly recommended for all viewers. 4 accolades, good, worth watching, but has notable flaws. 3 accolades, average, some enjoyable moments, but lacks significant impact. 2 accolades, below average, some redeeming qualities, but generally disappointing. 1 accolade, poor quality, not recommended, and 0 accolades, horrible, absolute trash. And I'm going to leave it there because I promised the new year I was going to let go of that grudge. All right, so Dan Panther, how many accolades are you giving this movie?
Oh man, 3 times I thought this movie was over. 3 or 4 times, like a knockout, and I was like, "There's more." Because again, I didn't see the trailer, so I was like, "How?" Okay, but there's more.
Okay,
she is beautiful. She's literally a knockout in real life. So it was crazy to think that these are real conversations that we're having with this woman, because look at her now. She's only 29. And I know it seems like some weird R. Kelly Diddy thing, Weinstein thing. I mean, respectfully, she was gorgeous. She's still gorgeous. So I don't know, but I would give this a 5. Everything they're giving you a hell of a movie. If you can go out there and watch Tyler or certain movies and say it's highly rated, but it's not clean, it's not a story, but this is real. I'm like, you just got to kind of take that for what it is and what she's accomplished in women's sports.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be right there with you, sir. I'm giving this a 5 because this is a story that needed to be told. And it was, like I said before, it was told very well. It was clean. It was great representation. It showed the reality of people, the ugliness of people, the way you can forgive people, the way we can make mistakes and keep people around.
Better than me.
Yes, definitely better than me. But it was the reality of it is what was causing all the emotions with me. You know what I'm saying? Even the part that bothered me the most about the coach, not seeing that reality of it all,
And we're not gonna spoil anything, but yeah, there's a scene, there's 1 or 2 meeting scenes, and it's like, regardless how you feel about the coach, there's a realistic thing, and they tell you that through the actor. Like, hey, if you're catching feelings, let me tell you where you're really at. Let me tell you the real perspective. Stay in your lane. I'm like, damn.
Yes. And I do want to say, because we're gonna get judged, but I do want to say this is one of those stories. I hate when people say it, but this is one of those stories where I can understand both sides. I can understand her perspective because of how young she is and how she's perceiving things. And then I truly understand his perspective because we're seeing it and we understand. So I can understand there was a moment where somebody said, hey, I'm not gonna spoil that, but there was a moment where it had to be pointed out that there's need to be somebody to take the higher road because of where they were in life and what they've seen versus the other person.
Beautiful wife.
And I had to take that in myself, because at first I was all on one side. And then when that was said, I was like, okay. Yeah, so this movie gets a 5 for me.
A woman to get you right.
A woman to get you right. A woman to get you right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, this was The Fire Inside, which you can find in theaters. If you guys like this review, you like the content that we've also been putting out, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit the alert button, and make sure you jump in the comments. Let us know if this pushed you to go watch it, or if you've watched it already. Let us know how many accolades you give it. Let us know how you felt. The comments are open to spoilers, so let's talk it out. Go ahead and let us know how you felt. If you understand what we're talking about, if you disagree, we welcome all comments, all opinions, and we're looking to engage with you guys on that. All right. So again, this was The Fire Inside, available in theaters. This is another Critics Collective episode, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. I'm Legacy Lingo, and this is the Dad Panther, and you guys be well.